Everybody join in this melody.
Let us unite, let us unite.
That's the only way we're gonna be free.
Unite, let us unite.
Everybody singing this sweet refrain.
Let us unite, let us unite.
Sing this melody till it gets in your brain. Well, I'm talking to you, Muslim, Christian, and Hebrew. Anything to do, we got to unite, or else we are through.
Let us unite, let us unite.
Everybody singing this sweet refrain.
Let us unite, let us unite.
Sing this melody till it gets in your brain.
Let us unite, let us unite.
Everybody singing this melody.
Let us unite, let us unite.
That's the only way we're gonna be free. They're united in Ghana, Guinea, Mali, and Nigeria. All over Africa, the people are getting together. They're even uniting in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Angola. And rumors vision will light the world over from Cape to Cairo, one Africa.
Let us unite, let us unite.
Everybody singing this sweet refrain.
Let us unite, let us unite.
Sing this melody till it gets in your brain.
Let us unite, let us unite.
Come on, do it tonight.
Let us unite, let us unite.
Brothers and sisters, let us unite.
There is a need for unity. The best for you and me. There is a need for unity. The best for you and me. Unity.
Everybody joining this melody. That's the only way we're gonna be free.
Let us unite, let us unite.
Come on, do it tonight.
Let us unite, let us unite.
Brothers and sisters, let us unite. Well, they're uniting in Cuba, Trinidad, Tobago, and Grenada, St. Kitts, Puerto Rico, and Jamaica. Let us unite in America, the yellow man moving in Asia, the red man awakening in India, the black man rising up in Africa. Let us jump up in America. Ha! Ha! Ha!
There is a need for unity. The best for you and me.
All of the nations of the earth as we speak are angry. They're angry because governments cannot suffice the needs of their people. They're angry because a few have gotten wealthy at the expense of the many. And the poor and the sick and the weak and the unlearned multiply. And the value of their lives are diminished by the rich and the powerful, so that when human life is devalued, that in the eyes of man you are unworthy of the gift of life, then it is easy
for another human being, to take the life of another human being that he or she has devalued. Black life in America is devalued. Hispanic life is devalued. Even poor white life is devalued. There's a way that I have to behave. I'm free, but I'm not free to rob you of yours. I'm not free to take from you what does not belong to me. So if I will construct my life according to these righteous principles, then between man and man, man and woman, peace. Between race and race, peace. Between rich and poor, peace. We have our beautiful Mexican family. This once was theirs. So you can't say to them they are aliens. That's a horrible word to use for former owners. I see my indigenous family here. Many tribes, but they're really one great nation of people that now must be reunited with themselves. So it's their time now, as well as ours, that God would intervene in our affairs and bring the bottom rail to the top. The government is not rehabilitating soldiers. When they send you away to kill. When you come home, they gotta reconstitute you for civilian life again. Make sure you have a job so you can take care of your family, but they're not doing it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, a woman can do anything that a man does, and the only thing he forbids the woman to do is the thing that degrades her. So how high can you go? High as you want to. Why would God allow the female to wear his attributes if you can't be a manifestation of that attribute? Women, you got to be set free. What God has put within you must be cultivated, must be developed, and must be used for the advancement of a nation and a world. I said to myself, Mr. President, why the hell don't you go to the wicked police department? Why the hell don't you stand up and tell them that your killing of black youth and brown youth is not gonna hold no more? Why don't you stand up? God's world is in need of a truth that will set up a government where everybody can live in peace under real freedom, real justice, and real equality.
We really need to have a conversation in here about judgment. The far majority of you will not go home today and start posting more on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, not because you don't get, I love when people are like, Gary, I didn't grow up with this technology. I don't get it. I'm like, that's nice, Sue. You didn't grow up driving and you figured it out. It is very cute that you tell me you didn't grow up with this and that's why you don't get it. I am wildly smart enough to understand that you are bright enough to spend 2 hours on an app to figure it out. The reason you're not posting or doing is because there's insecurity about what you're gonna say. You got your perspective. I just wanna be happy. Don't you wanna be happy? The fact that we sit here in 2020 in the maturity of the social web and these opportunities, and there are still 2 platforms right this second that requires $0 for you to start communicating what you want to happen in the world, I think is remarkable. That doesn't even take into account the fact that Facebook ads, YouTube pre-rolls, this new Spotify ad product that is gonna have hosts read live reads like the old radio game for podcasts, Facebook, all Twitter. Twitter's appropriately priced, but everything else I just mentioned to you, the ads are underpriced. The cost of spending $1,000 on these platforms to get people to see something is underpriced. I really am desperate with even the tone and tenor that I'm bringing to this talk. I'm desperate for people to understand how wild this is. I want to remind everybody, for everybody who raised their hand in the first group like myself, the way you built a business or brought awareness, if you're 43 and older, in the way we grew up, was by spending a lot of money. Ads cost money. Direct mail, newspaper, radio ads, television, that cost money. It was a very high cost of entry to build brand. Brand is the whole game. I think when I analyze what's going on in the business world and with people, I think most people are transactional. I believe, how many people here are entrepreneurs? Raise your hands. I believe the majority of the hands that just went up, that when I look at the delta between the ones who've won and the ones who've won less than they've wanted to, I put them always in my mind into 2 groups. One group is transactional, AKA deeply care about the money in the short term. And the second group is looking to build brand, AKA reputation in perpetuity, and are more concerned about playing it out in the long term. What is exciting for me right now is that this device, like the fact from this young man down and up, every one of us has a device in our hand that is a computer that is actually more powerful than the computer that Ronald Reagan had when he was running the free world. It really is interesting. It really is. I think, again, what I'm really trying to establish in this talk this morning is I don't think people have quantified the opportunity. I struggle, regardless of circumstance, with people dwelling or complaining in a world where the internet is free, has no idea who you are, could care less. It's right there, and it becomes a game of skill, not necessarily finances, to actually win. It's interesting to me. It's interesting to me that you can be in the retail business overnight by setting up a Shopify account which costs nothing, when that same action to sell something 30 years ago meant that you had to sign a lease and build out a store and rely on the local traffic that walked by. It scares me and excites me that the biggest music company in the world, Spotify, was built in Sweden by a kid. And on and on and on, and you've heard every story. But more importantly, for every ridiculous story we've seen of Instagram or Facebook or Uber or Spotify, there are hundreds of thousands of stories of people with wins that are micro versions. I actually think the most unhealthy thing in entrepreneurship and opportunity is the big stories that everybody thinks they have to build $1 billion company. I think we do not talk enough about the practical $150,000 a year, $300,000 a year, $700,000 a year business that you genuinely love what you do and you can live your life being happy and financially sound, and what the cost of entry to be able to do that is in today's environment, which once again, let me say it very slow, between putting out a media company, if you decide to put that on a WordPress or a Squarespace, a retail company on the back of a Shopify, you could start a radio show that is global on the back of just uploading something you record on your memos on your phone and upload onto Spotify and Apple and SoundCloud. My friends, distribution is free. I know it's a nerdy thing. Like, it's not like some big profound statement, but let me say it nice and slow. Distribution is free. It used to cost a fortune. Now what you put inside of it is the variable of your success, not your financial capabilities to create the distribution. You have, like, I wish we could zoom in. I literally have goosebumps on my neck right now. No, but really, I really do. It's like a very, I will live my last breath trying to get people to understand this is remarkable. This is a game of perspective. Are you educated or capable of seeing it from the lens that I'm speaking about today, which is the barrier to reach the end person? Whether you're a financial advisor and trying to get to a client, whether you sell bow ties, whether you want to be, how about the fact if you want to be a professional football player and now there's all these websites where you can upload your film because the scout didn't come to your tiny, tiny town and now you actually can be discovered. Like, everything has changed. My question and my dream every time I speak is, can I get one person in this room to get their piece? For me, if you are not disproportionately happy sitting in this room professionally, which will trickle into your actual life, you have to take a step back and understand this perspective. So I think we're living through the greatest era ever for opportunity. I think it's on the back of the current internet, which is wildly visual. I'm very aware that the audio revolution of our society is coming. What do I mean by that? Is how many people here have a Google Home or an Alexa in their house? Just raise it high, I'm curious. Raise it high, I want people to see this. Google and Alexa, look around. It's a real number. Now, granted, most people are just telling jokes with their Alexa or listening to music. But I want to remind everybody that the first killer app on the iPhone for the first year was that app that looked like you were drinking a beer, if you remember. It takes some time for the apps to catch up to the platform. But we are all very close to being in an era where we order a pizza or where we get our plumber or how and where we navigate by talking to a voice device, not to our phone. As voice becomes the platform and less happens on this, which seems foreign now because we all live in it, but I want to remind you we used to not live in it, and I want to remind everybody here, technology likes to move. When, not if, when you start doing a lot of things that you do on your phone right now start happening on a voice device, it will no longer be visual and written, which will lead to less opportunity to grab attention to the current opportunity landscape, which I'm going to remind everybody is quite remarkable. Because if you've got a local bakery now and you can do a really good job on LinkedIn and TikTok for free or on Instagram with money, when in a decade we go into voice and I say, Alexa, send me 6 muffins to the office, Amazon gets to decide which muffins come to the office. Now, if you did such a good job building brand and I knew about Carol's muffins, and I said, Alexa, send me 6 Carol's muffins to the office, you've now accomplished your task. I spend 100,000% of my time on brand. I want people to know my name. I want people to know the name of the things I do. VaynerMedia, my agency. When we killed Mr. Peanut yesterday, which a lot of you heard about, that is us doing brand. That makes you think about Planters. You weren't thinking about it prior to what we did yesterday. We think about it. It's all brand. And so I just want you to get your long tail of it. And this is what's led me to the most interesting conversations of my career, because as a businessman, I never thought I would get into categories like parenting and insecurities and self-esteem. But as somebody who just spoke all that and has done that pretty much every day, 600 times a day on the internet for the last decade, it has led me to realize, wait a minute, there's the other component of everything I said. I can show every one of you what to do. I've just sat here and told you 100%, not 99, the 2 attention arbitrage platforms of our society right now. If every person here went home and made 5 to 7 pictures and videos a day on both TikTok and LinkedIn, within a year, something good would happen for the far majority of you. 99% of you won't post on either once after this talk. The question to me became why? That led to the next part. We really need to have a conversation in here about judgment. The far majority of you will not go home today and start posting more on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, not because you don't get, I love when people are like, Gary, I didn't grow up with this technology. I don't get it. I'm like, that's nice, Sue. You didn't grow up driving and you figured it out. It is very cute that you tell me you didn't grow up with this and that's why you don't get it. I am wildly smart enough to understand that you are bright enough to spend 2 hours on an app to figure it out. The reason you're not posting or doing is because there's insecurity about what you're gonna say. You go very deep into who's gonna care what I'm gonna say. What would I say? Who cares what I think? Or even worse, the thing that breaks my heart the most, you actually do post something, somebody leaves a post that you look ugly, and you cripple and fold like a cheap chair. So that's what I spend my time on now, trying to figure out how to get people to realize that the judgment of others has 0 actual impact on their lives. They have 0 context on your actual life. And how do I get you to understand that perspective, which would then lead to you speaking? And when I say speaking, let me break this down. Let me take out the other excuse of why you, for yourself and your business, aren't posting. Not everybody is great on camera. I get that. Not everybody is so wildly charismatic and very good looking. I get it. However, on the flip side, I am incapable of writing. It's not my natural skill. I struggle with reading and writing. It's not my skill. Plenty of people here are incredible writers, and it is an incredible opportunity to go write 6 to 15 sentences together around a thought on LinkedIn and hit post. Others can work in Photoshop and make a picture. Others enjoy. I don't. I was born in the Soviet Union and grew up in a very Eastern European household. I think there's like 8 pictures of me in my entire youth, right? We didn't take photos, so it doesn't come natural to me. On the other hand, there are people in here who took 97 photos on their iPhone yesterday. There are plenty of people here who are great at taking photos. My question here today, my friends, is very simple. When are you gonna start talking? What are you waiting for? If you are not communicating, you don't exist. I believe that. If you are not communicating, you do not exist. More importantly, communicate about what you love. What scares me about the long tail of the internet is I know there's somebody sitting in here who's watched every episode of Friends, okay? Deeply loves Friends. Can't get enough in their own mind of debating Rachel and Ross. Loved the show. Watch it every night to go to sleep to. And I know they make $49, $62, $88, $103,000 a year doing something they don't like. And I know that if they started a podcast about friends every day when they went home, instead of consuming content to escape the fact that they don't like their job, if they created content around the thing they love, that after 24, 36, 48 months, that along could have came Netflix and been a sponsor of that podcast that would allow them to actually leave that job they hate and now be a full-time Friends podcaster. You don't believe that. I understand that. That seems like a far-fetched story to you. The problem is you don't live my life, because I wrote a book in 2009 called Crush It that laid this out, and I get to live the best life now where I get 3 to 6 emails a day of people that tell me this exact story. Whether it's about pickles. People like pickles. I do. I eat pickles like crazy. Star Trek. Esports, don't even get me started, because I used to push it a lot and people have gone completely and made real careers in that. Just stuff. I just really, really, really hope you hear me today. Whether it's for yourself, whether you're a top executive in your organization and the company still does direct mail or print or still sponsors the town fair instead of running content and ads on Instagram and Facebook. Guys, it's 2020. And don't give me this, not in my town, not in my industry. I'm watching. Your town, your industry. And so that's where we're at. The biggest opportunity in the history of humankind to do what you want to do, and yet you will continue to find reasons not to. And I think that comes in under the categories of self-esteem and self-awareness. And I think we need to make those words important in our society. You can work hard all you want. If you're insecure, you're gonna be vulnerable. Because the second there's pushback, and there's always pushback in the journey, you won't go there. So that's my framework. Those are the things I think about. I spend a lot of time thinking about that. And then, you know, I have a company that helps Fortune 500 companies navigate that world. And I see it every day. Just going back to the planters thing, because I know it's on the radar today, like, there was a real debate if we could get America to know that Mr. Peanut was dead so that we could run the Super Bowl spot that we're running during the Super Bowl. And if we couldn't, the spot won't make any sense. I and VaynerMedia knew that the internet is real. We knew that if you went on Twitter, like we did yesterday, The Daily Show will pick it up at night. And it will be on all the recap emails this morning, and in the papers, and the AP, and the USA Today. The internet is real life, this is fake life. And really, I'm really going, I know where the giggles come from. And by the way, an enormous amount of people hate that thought, right? Like, I live in life. I know how we are doing such a great job currently demonizing technology. We hate that my favorite is my friends who are parents who, like, you know, because they know where I sit on tech, and they're like, Gary, you know, I'll be hanging out with them and they'll be like, Gary, this tech is terrible and the kids are on it too much. But the second the kid comes over and bothers our conversation over a glass of wine, they throw the iPad at that kid like it's the cure to every disease. The hypocrisy that we have around technology is fascinating. We as humans are incredible at romancing the past and demonizing the current. And so these are the trends I watch. But I will say this. If you are a vibrant, active, ambitious human being, which there is zero reason for you to be at this conference if you're not, zero. And you do not, for yourself or your company, produce in the ballpark of 7 to 25 different pieces of content across 3 to 9 different platforms a day, you are making a fundamental mistake. And I'm gonna say it again, because when you're talking about 25 pieces of content a day, in a world where 98% of this room is not making 25 pieces of content a year, we have a very big disconnect between where I sit on this and where you sit on this. I am giving this talk for one reason, because D-Rock is filming it, and I'm gonna air it in a decade on whatever the current platform is, when it has been completely accepted that everything I just said was 100% right. I have zero interest of you actually taking the advice I just shared. I don't know you. I've got my own problems. I prefer it. I deeply enjoy, I have to go, I'm speaking at Harvard tomorrow, so I have to go. I have a couple more meetings here, and I got to go Dallas to Boston. I land at 1:40 in the morning, and on those kind of flights, I like reading the emails of you saying, hey, I saw you in Mobile in 2020, it's now imaginary 2023. I finally listened. I was passionate about X, Y, and Z. I did do an Instagram account or a podcast or a YouTube show, and now 3 years later, this happened. I love that. That is the big win for me in this room. But you won't. You won't. And I know that because I've lived this life now for a while. You know, what is more likely is you're gonna email me in 6 years and say, I wish I did, because this happened. Because I was the leading lawyer in town, and this other person who was not even, you know, the emails are funny, right? Gary, I mean, they come in all shapes and forms. Gary, I wish I listened to you. And you start reading it, because I want the qualitative feedback to learn, right? Heard you 4 years ago at the Atlanta Business Summit. You said the thing. I didn't believe you. I thought you were loud and obnoxious. I'm not cursing today because Nagy asked me, but you cursed. It turned me off. I'm a Jersey boy. You know, meanwhile, this upstart kid, he listened to you. And then my favorite line no matter what it is, lawyer, doctor, real estate, but he's not even good at being a lawyer, but he's killing it on Facebook and he's hurting my business. What do I do now? And I smile. I smile the same way that I saw some of the kids on the field yesterday that didn't go with Vayner Sports, that we know we were in the final two with them and they went in a different direction. I see them, I root for them. I'm a kind person, my mom did a good job, but I'd be lying to you if I didn't say when I look at their faces, I smile knowing they made the wrong decision. Because I love merit, I love sports. You either make the right move or you don't. I've already won by articulating my thoughts here today. Either you're gonna actually use this talk as the final piece to actually get out there and finally do this, because you cannot be in this room and not know what I'm saying is actually right. Or you're not, and then you lose, and then I get to see you, because they're both good. I did it or I didn't do it. I both enjoy, because I actually love the merit of the game. I mean that. So, I hope you do it. I don't need you to do it. As a matter of fact, I'll get really technical on you. A lot of my smartest friends always ask me why I do this, because if these people start making content and start running ads, it's gonna be harder for you to build what you're building, Gary, and they're right. The feed of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's just one feed. It's just supply and demand. If all of you start posting, that's just more content, less attention, less opportunity for me to build what I'm building. That's where it's going. So I hope I've articulated the punchline. I don't think I'm supposed to be doing Q&A now, but to be very frank, I gave Nagy the no cursing. I'm taking the Q&A, so I'm gonna take a couple of your questions right now. Because to be frank, I think I've articulated my point. And it is the point. If you know, I was a terrible student, but there was one class I was decent at, it was called history. And I finally figured out why. I like history because I know that things repeat themselves and humans are consistent. And I like context. If you listen to my talk right now and immediately ran home and read a book or articles about the transition of America from the radio to the television, everything I just said would make sense to you. My friends, we have transitioned from the newspaper and television to the internet. It's happened. It's not going back. I'm sorry. It's not my fault. It has happened. It's never going back. This is why the mainstream media will always be wrong about their predictions, because they look at the wrong data. They will always be wrong. Watch it again. They'll always be wrong. It's why big companies, why my company's exploding, because they worked with other agencies from like the Mad Men era. They're always wrong. It's based on subjectivity, politics, ego. We're here. I want you to take advantage of it, because if you don't, somebody else will. There's 330 million of us out here in this country, and 7.7 billion. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Gary, if a person runs a company,
What's your name?
my name's Brent.
Brent, nice to meet you.
Who runs a company, and again, of course, they have their own social media platforms and accounts.
The company. They're personal.
For their business. How do you divide up the kind of content? Do you cross-pollinate there?
Yes.
What would you recommend to a person?
Brent, I think you can do both, right? Like I do. I'm Gary Vee, but my family wine business, Wine Library, has an account. Empathy Wines, my direct-to-consumer wine brand, has an account. VaynerMedia has an account. We cross-pollinate. Obviously, if you're a big personality, and big comes in a lot of senses. If you're, let me phrase, I'm not gonna use big. If you're a personality that brings value in whatever shape or form, you're gonna see more following. People like to follow people over businesses, but it's all about value exchange. But yeah, you'll appreciate this, but there is no right or wrong. Really, there's not. I would say the only thing that you can do wrong is not being yourself. I see a lot of people scared to actually be themselves because they're scared who's watching. And they, like, I hate looking at all your LinkedIn accounts. You've got like a suit and tie, looking all professional. Like you think something bad's gonna happen if you're normal. I look like a mess up here. I'm wearing a Tierra Whack sweatshirt. Like the results always win. And I think a lot of people hold back their natural self. The market doesn't care in the end. Somebody may judge you, but the market doesn't care. Yes, sir. What's your name? Tucker.
So I started a podcast called Behind the Grind Show.
Okay.
On Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere you listen to podcasts. I started in October.
Thanks for your commercial. Next. Go ahead.
We started in October.
Okay.
We interview entrepreneurs and high-performing individuals, and we've had a decent amount of growth in this short period of time.
That's awesome.
And all because of you.
All because of you.
We just-
You executed.
Yes, sir. We just recently got reached out by a couple people that are wanting to become sponsors or have their bosses that are entrepreneurs on. So my first question is, when is the right time to start
To monetize?
monetizing? And then second, we just got reached out to potentially do like a live audience podcast.
Yep.
Because people in Pensacola, Florida, Studer Community Institute, they reached out to us about potentially brainstorming on that idea. So with that, we did direct the podcast.
Everything you said is yes and no, and it's important for you at this young of an age to understand that. No matter my level of successes or different people's levels of experience, the punchline is it may be yes or no. The key is to not do something that you're so locked in that once you taste it and you realize it's no, that you can't get out. The wrong thing to do with whoever you just talked to in Pensacola is to sign a 2-year deal to do it live there, and after the second one, you're like, this sucks, I don't want to do this. So you keep flexibility. The audience won't be mad at you for monetizing, they'll be mad at you for selling out. And that's a very big difference. But I think, but it's so exciting, right? Because I go through this spiel. How long have you been doing it?
Since October of last year.
You mean 4 minutes? If I'm correct, with October and you factor in Thanksgiving and Christmas, you're talking about 9 seconds. Right. It's important for you to see. Now, for them to get that level of reach out, they just might be good. Like, there is a variable in everything I've just said. You may love talking about basketball. You might just be boring. So you've got to be self-aware about it. But my big thing is, you may be boring, but it makes you so happy. Like, my big thing is, people don't like their jobs or lives, and then they go and consume things to escape, and I'm trying to get them to create to get happy. You may never become Stephen A. Smith, but if you start a podcast about the Pelicans, even if it gets a little juice, maybe some free tickets to a game, now you're pumped. You like the Pelicans. It's a lot better than watching an entire Aaron Hernandez Netflix documentary. Yeah, I had to go there. I hate those guys so damn much. I saw Bill Belichick on the sidelines yesterday. I wanted to punch him in his face. Jets fans, you know. Cool.
So I'm a runner of a small real estate company in Birmingham. We do a flat fee model.
Okay.
We're essentially in many ways disruptive in our local market, but I'm seeing nationally that it's growing quickly.
Yep.
A lot of people aren't really accepting of it. However, I have this vision in my mind.
Real quick. A lot of people aren't accepting of it. Let's talk real quick. Who's not accepting of it?
Well, I'm not necessarily worried about it. It's our industry professionals. I'm worried about the consumer.
Correct. The people that aren't accepting of it are the ones whose commissions and margins are getting affected. That has nothing to do with the end consumer. I haven't had a single competitor ever love me.
As we try to scale it, my disconnect is finding the next connection to find somebody who can show us how to scale that in a way that we can maintain culture, but also keep the consumer mindset first.
Well, first of all, I'm pumped that you're thinking about that. I mean, you're aware of what I've done with Claude and Chief Heart Officer. Do you know what I'm saying there? Yeah, I mean, look, I think you're, like, even hearing you deliver that sentence, I think for some of the veteran business people in this room, like, we weren't talking about culture 20 years ago. Like, it was just get the results done. So to scale, I do believe you need culture. You know, at 1,000 people, we have offices in Singapore and London and Chattanooga, Tennessee. Like, you've gotta really have culture. I think the fact that you're even thinking about it already means you have a shot at it. It means you're gonna throw money at it, and you're gonna have an HR department that cares about the employees, not as a disguise for the finance team to fire people. It's just intent. Like, just even hearing how much you know, talking, seeing your vibes in the crew, this is just intent. The reason I always win is because I have intent. My employees first, my customers second, me third. That's a very easy way to win in business. I think we all know that's not how most people do it. And if you're sitting here right now and saying, me, I'm gonna start this business to buy a boat. 2, customers, because they're the people that are gonna give me money. 3, employee, you're gonna build a very small business. Yes, sir. Yep. Stand up, bro. Don't freak out.
My name is Ahmed. I'm 19 years old. I'm not really like a huge business guy.
No worries.
But I'm kind of, my question was, I know you say to people who don't know what their passions are or anything to try a lot of stuff.
Yes.
My thing is, where do you start with that?
Okay, let's play. You're 19, which I'm so thrilled you're asking this question because it's super important. This thought that you need to have your life figured out at this age is laughable. This thought that we've created in society that 18 or 22, you need to know and you go, it's like we've literally built society backwards. Like when you first get out of the school machine, which maps 0 to real life, you're supposed to go play real life to have a chance to figure out what you do. So where do you start? You start with what are you consuming and paying attention to when you have leisure time? Do you play video games? Do you listen to music? Do you like to go out and eat weird food? Do you like, what do you like? That's where you start. So what do you like, Ahmed? Like, what are you about?
I'm kind of a geek. I like things like comic books.
Good, let's start with comic books. Do you want to create comic books? Do you want to sell comic books? Do you want to buy comic books and flip them? Do you want to work at Comic-Con? All of those things would be a good place for you to start. Cold email and DM 850 different people that are players in the comic book world, and one of them might reply to you, and that starts your career. Like, you could literally work for Funko tomorrow. You could literally work for Marvel tomorrow. You could. You just have to write 137 compelling emails and DMs and LinkedIn things. What's up, brother? Yeah, bro, you can literally do that. Who's 43 and older? We couldn't do that, Ahmed. That's not how it worked when we were coming up the game. You didn't just like say, like, you know, that actually, ironically, once in a while I come across an OG who's like, actually, I did do that. I wrote 800 letters. It took 2 months for me to get a response instead of 2 hours. But yeah, man, I mean, like, you know, in the comic world, there's the movie aspect. There's the actual skill of it. Like, if you like the drawing of it, you could. Look, let me tell you one thing about winners. A lot of winners didn't get there by accident. So when you write a winner an email, your favorite illustrator at DC Comics, hey, Sarah, I will bring you coffee, get your laundry, grind and bleed just to intern or work at minimum wage just to see how you do it. 1 out of every 100 of those people, that's how I hire. I hired D-Rock because he emailed me 3 times. And now he's D-Rock, and people like call their video people D-Rock. That's his story, my man.
No unity, no power. White power for white people. Black power for black people. 1967. The Black Panther Party. The movement. Freedom.
Let's talk about freedom, freedom, freedom.
We will not bow down to racism. We will not bow down to injustice. We will not bow down to exploitation. I'm gonna I'm gonna stay.
Now this is time for free your mind and your soul. Yo, our story has never been told. Ladies, you got to demand what you want, and what we want is respect, right?
Come and take a walk with me. First a walk with me. See what only I can see.
Sisters, check this. Watch this.
Turn us loose, set us free from all the chains that bind me. Let us run in our own direction. Let us go, set us free from all this propaganda and lies that your people try to teach us. I know why you would like to bring us down. Because we have all the deals on you. You try to tell us that our lives don't mean anything, but we know so much better, so we're gonna take up the freedom. Freedom for my body, freedom for my mind, freedom for my freedom. All this time you've been telling us these lies, but now we finally figured out. Okay, yeah, all that we would never wise up, but we'll show the how black female can do. So you continue to keep us oppressed, but no, we ain't going out like that. Oh no, no. All these lies and all this propaganda you want us to take, we're gonna take it. Freedom from my body, freedom from my mind, freedom for my spirit, freedom for my body, freedom for my heart and my soul. I see the fear in your eyes, surprise, so cover it all. I know just who I am and what I wanna do. I can make you run, make you hide from all your ancestors' transgression that you hold inside. Sister rising up and singing that our time is here. We're taking back what's been ours for years.
Let the heaven of a system embrace you. Embrace them other guys.
All these lies and all this propaganda that you want us to say, we're gonna take out. Freedom from my mind, freedom for my freedom.
Ready for Evolution. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Welcome to another edition for Classes in Session. I am your brother and friend, Brother Eric Teray Muhammad. I want to thank all of you for attending this morning, and absolutely want to thank you for your presence, Mr. Joseph Height, Chairman of Gold Standard Bank, for joining us this morning and chiming in the comments and helping everybody understand that we are, in fact, one family, one community. Appreciate it so much. In case you don't know, I'm going to secure some bragging rights right now. I am your first Black Star Supreme recipient in the entire company, here with what you offered in vision and what we've gleaned and learned and duplicate from our leaders in Wealth Builders Worldwide, Mr. Ty Best and Mr. Michael L. Dalco of the Leadership Council. And I want to thank you again, sir, for the tutelage, the privilege, and the honor for being a part of such a tremendous opportunity where everyone can realize the power of their dreams. So again, thank you. Class in Session, family, every Monday through Saturday, sometimes Sunday, on the Eric Teray Muhammad Facebook page, as well as subsequent pages along Facebook, along with YouTube, the We Are Farrakhan page. YouTube, we have Team Believe, Believe Television, Believe TV, and the Eric Teray Muhammad page as well. So Class in Session, our channel as well. Class in Session every Monday through Saturday, sometimes Sunday. Take a screenshot of this, because this is how we grow. Everything Wealth Builders Worldwide is in our hands, in our power, and in our possession to achieve. So we run with the runners. The way to change the nature of our experiences, to change the nature of our thoughts, we do that as a collective when we support the process. We support the process by running with those of like mind. So I encourage all of you to join us 10:45 a.m. for the power call. There's the password, because it requires a password, 10:45 a.m. Eastern, 7:45 a.m. Demaui Pacific time on www.gorocks.info. Mr. Best is in the house. Thank you, Mr. Best. Thank you so much. Man, what a wonderful time this morning. I mean, woo! Fire beyond measure. Fire beyond measure. And people are just chiming in, thanking Mr. Height for his contributions. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Man, look, 12 noon is where we have our, 10:45 a.m. already mentioned the power call. 12 noon, we have our Wealth Builders Live event, where everyone runs to www.gorocks.info. Again, www.gorocks.info. We run right there. We run with this password, and we get on, and we enjoy the live wealth building event that shows us how to make a fortune from home. And then we do a Q&A session there. So those of you who get on the platform, you have the opportunity to get your questions answered directly. Tremendous undertaking, a wonderful place to be, www.gorocks.info. And just remember, you can change the power of your experiences by changing the nature of your thoughts. So let's grow. Okay, and of course, do not lose sight of this tremendous event coming about on the 17th. We're talking about Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern here in the United States, where we have a presentation from Crypto Steve with Crypto Training with Crypto Steve Coates. Understanding cryptocurrency and trading with Mr. Crypto Steve Coates. Admission is $25. It is a Team Believe event, our first event. Share it everywhere. You can get your tickets along Eventbrite, and you can follow the different commands you see across social media to secure your seat. Space is limited, so make sure you are in the place to be. Also, health is wealth. So make sure that you create that component as well to help distance yourself from the scourges of things that are happening throughout the world. Maintain your metabolism, grow your metabolism, enhance it rather, and then find those things that will allow you to be healthy enough to reap the rewards of being a GS partner. Wait, okay? So make sure that you do that. Team Believe, we're going to move real fast because we got a couple of things happening rather explosively. And I'm going to share those things with you this morning. Of course, you got to believe. Wealth Builders Worldwide, all the amazing platforms and teams associated with Wealth Builders Worldwide, whether it be Team Believe, whether it be Wealth Builders for Life, whether it be Team Freedom, whether it be Team Audacity, whether it be all these wonderful, precious teams, we are all part of the same belief system. So today we're doing a joint Believers Huddle. It's going to start at 9:15 on our YouTube platform. Those who have, I'm not YouTube, Zoom platform. Those who have that platform, share it out with anyone you like, and we'll be on at 9:15. And then just after 9:30, somewhere in the 9:40 hour, we're all converging onto Brother Kansu Hotep Atum with the team. Wealth Builders for Life there. We're going to join his broadcast. We're going to join the broadcast of Brother Kansu Hotep Atum, and we will be there. And we've made a commitment to sort of catch up and share some of these wisdoms that over the last few years have brought us to this space to let you know it didn't happen in a vacuum. There was some work done, and we're going to chop it up a little bit. Okay, so with 9:15 promptly, we'll start with our Team Believe session. And then we'll start migrating over from 9:30 up to 9:40 or what have you to get in with Brother Kansu Hotep Atum at Wealth Builders for Life on his channel. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be partnered with my brother and friend again. All right. One of the last few things, but not the last, I want to make sure that all of you subscribe to Believe TV. That's the Team Believe channel. Believe TV, where you'll find many of the growth activities, how to wealth build, how to this, how to that from your wealth building community. Individuals will come along and they will share their content and they will share their programming, and we're building this base. So by all means, please subscribe, like, and share, and position yourself to share your talent and your dream with your global community. Okay, Busy Bird, I'm glad you're here. We love you and appreciate you. Can't wait to get you home. When I say get you home, I'm talking about her home, y'all. I don't be invading nobody's spaces. Oh, but we're happy to see you and happy for your accomplishments that we'll talk about in the Believers Huddle at 9:15. So with that being said, I want to give you another reminder of the event. I got the text. I'm giving you another reminder of the event. Okay. You have an annual subscription. You have G999 coins. You have Bitcoin and Ethereum dropping into your account like a drizzle from rain. You need to know how to keep that happening, create a budget for yourself, and realize the power of what you already possess and have. So take a screenshot of that and make sure that you're in the place. Seating is limited. Don't wait till the last minute thinking that seat might still be there. Okay, and then lastly, take a screenshot of the most important. I saved the best for last. We are wealth builders, folks. We are wealth builders worldwide. And as Brother Reggie Scott says, Wealth Builders Worldwide is where we build winners. Peace and power. I'll see us at 9:15, and then I will see us along with the Team Believe family at on Kansu Hotep Atum's page with Wealth Builders for Life, and then the mighty, mighty, mighty. Did I say mighty? I meant to say mighty power call. Peace and power. Thank you again, Mr. Yosef Haidt, for honoring us with your presence this morning. Peace and power. Forward.
Oh, my people, I want you to understand and know the time. It's time that we are accepted and respected by both man and mankind. You know, the scripture says that God would choose those that are despised and rejected. And we have been that and cast aside. No one wanted us, and no one cared for us. And the worst thing about it, we never cared for ourselves. Oh, but brothers and sisters, it's time now that we fall in love with ourselves and with each other. This world has robbed us of a true guide, but it's time to unite and fight hard for unity. Brothers and sisters, we must live for each other and die for each other, because that's the only way that we're gonna know the meaning of what it is to be free. Then we'll conquer fear and wipe away all our tears. That's the benefit of our unity. Oh, my people, it is written that in the last days God would come after that sheep that was lost, and he has come today and he has given us Elijah, a man to show us the way out of the ditch of hell. So up, you mighty nation. You can accomplish anything that you will. So come on, let's rise again. Yes, let us build again. As our fathers built the pyramids and the Sphinx and all of the great ancient wonders. Let's rise again and build as our fathers used to do. Come on, let's unite. Strive and strive with all our might. Oh, let's fight hard for unity. Brothers and sisters, we must learn to live for each other and die for each other, because that's the only way we're gonna know the joy of being free. We'll conquer fear. Then we'll conquer fear and wipe away all our tears. That's the benefit of our unity. Come on, black man, rise again and build again. And a bit of unity. And a bit of unity. Unity. Rise again. The basis of unity is love. When we love each other, we come into unity with each other. And when we're in unity, we have the strength and the power to overcome all obstacles in the pathway of our freedom. Yes, brothers and sisters, this is the benefit of our unity. So let's rise again. Come on, black man, rise again. Brothers and sisters, come on, let's build again. Little bit of unity. So let's rise again. And build again.
strong.